All right, we are live, so it is on. We are live. Excellent.
I don't think you'll need your laptops for this portion of it, because you'll need charging. This way, so that it's straight to the top of my feet. Okay. Our chair is actually department. But I tried to email out to you all packet. I put it on the screen. I did, but I can't. I don't think that was anyone there. Okay. That's next one. I do not try to take paper. We have a lot of things that you printed today. Try not to kill every tree. Yeah. Yeah. We had orientation on Tuesday today. Student council this morning at 62. They had 16 stay orientation and that went to the 7th, right? Something like that. The very confident that we will be at our meeting plus for 10 months. Very good. It's good. I think they actually have how many? They can have significant. That's easy. But we're going to take them. And you know, like, and you don't have the field the 19th. And last May, at orientation day, they're at like 17 for W6 for W1A, so that's degree, and they had 6 all day. They're supposed to have their campus, they're going to finish morning. And so we're kind of changing things around. These things probably are in the hospital. We're just going to continue the program. each of them are. And they're all moving around. We have next week, well, do you want to work it, and then also work. Perhaps we make them do their testing and everything, so we were like, curriculum, they go on, so they take it, and they meet and require. So we're just waiting about.
They shall see talk at work. Shall come at work. She gets the shingles. I'm in charge. That's their work. What's there?
Good work.
Remember Brett.
Also,
Would you like to take it?
Yeah, go bring it.
all right, that here, I got a monthly snapshot in July. Not a lot to talk about, but kick off the year, currently looking at $377,000 in revenue. Most of that's currently sitting at total expenses of $466,000. At the end of July, with a deficit of $8,000. A lot of that's due to front-loaded costs. Beginning of the year, it's insurance, so we'll see that even out next week. Also, if you look down at that record, you'll see that they're making up most of the deficit right now, and that's because we costs that just need to be claimed with CSP. Waiting on the better, and also they know we'll get it. It's
Yeah, change fund.
So we'll also see that even out. The rest of East Bank is currently sitting at $8,000 surplus. West Bank is actually sitting at $35,000 surplus. LAPX at almost $8,000 deficit. And the CMO is actually reflecting with it. Come down the balance sheet, you will see we currently have $80 million cash in the bank account. 108 days of cash, 102 days of cash, sorry. And you'll see our end of year last year gave us nice surplus to add to the fund balance. So right now we're currently sitting at equity of $1 million. So healthy fund balance for the budgeted deficit that we're showing and the current deficit that we have. Quick note on the budgeted deficit, that is to what we project to be like yet. Expect us to be some months. Yeah. So here's just the budget versus actual at a more granular level. We've got on $6.3 million revenue. See $377,000 of that. That's currently revenue $280,000 of that paid out credit. Other personnel, $1.9 million budgeted, currently $287,000. Next page, this is on campus for the actuals. And more what we talked about in the dashboard, you can see that just here. Of course, East Bank and Baton Rouge are considered one entity, but we'll break them up here just to track how they're doing individually. Go to the balance sheet. Same as we talked about on the dashboard, currently sitting at $8 million cash, and still have about $77,000 cash to receive from federal grant plans. Equity sitting at $8. Next page, I included just more information than just the last snapshot. This is how we ended up last year. Final numbers pending the conclusion of the audit, but we don't expect it to change. We ended last year with a $620,000 surplus. And that's on the state format. So look down at the equipment line, you'll see I picked up the fans, but regular accounting, the fans aren't recognized as an expense that got one state once it's too expensive. So you'll see a difference here where we're actually carrying equity, and it's that 86 number. Questions, supplemental reports after that? You've got leader, you've got.
So we talked about that West Bank is on track to be at their projected number, and we're like over, and obviously supporting that campus by ensuring that it has students. East Bay campus looks like it will be less than what it was projected to be. But at the same level, West Bank should have been. So basically unlock those resources so that resources that will fit the East Bay and West Bank. And that way you would swap and think about how it turns out if that inclusion over student and technically part of the East Bay. So at the end of the day, they end up the exact same one that we thought of. But we are definitely realizing the reports that are needed in that region, and there may be some additional resources that we want to add depending on how things shake out. In order to achieve that goal. Obviously, our biggest concern is Lafayette. Lafayette are the very influence budgeted. That's a conversation that we had. Right now, they are at either 33 or 34 students. And they have an influence between they're at 32. Their influence to be that there should be 2 students. I think that they would end at 34 with a 10-1 each of these students. They changing personnel policies in Lafayette that address that. There may be additional changes that need to occur. We are spending a fair amount of funds that specific money budgeted that huge for improvement. And we've seen a good return on advertising market segment. That's what we're running for 10 and then segments where we see opportunity for enrollment. This one. CSP, we had filings from last fiscal year that we have to put in, and we should get those back. We don't believe they'll file the next week. Then obviously we have to one to share that reach. We did have the notification that $50,000 waiting on these battery, which they can count tomorrow. Also, they are $2,000 improvement grant that we got from them. $5,000 count tomorrow. Excellent. We applied for photo go. We were accepted in the first round. That was in the second round. Information. It's fun. I think that all the money that we have coming to significant piece that will also be recognized in the bank budget that John's mentioned is that we were able to get one of our teachers funded, Johnson Parish, teaching. So that is great. So that's also going to help offset costs and additions. I'm sorry. No, so we were able to convince them that it really just having a relationship, but convince them that our teacher liaison position is a mentor teacher position, and they agreed that it met the requirements of it, really to fund it, so that's great. And the teacher will be filling that role is also going to be a teacher certification. And that will generate with them additional stipend every year that's funded. As money to be able to get those positions like every year, and they're taking any more than very happy with that. That's what I've done. Being grateful.
Go ahead. First, as a running.
We have that running on second.
Okay.
And they're specialized to go here. To go in.
Okay, and then go ahead. Your
You know, every student is roughly 10 to 10,000, right? I mean, it's anything different, 34 versus 37, right? So we should be able to be honest about where we are. Those are the things that we need to know. We just follow the kind of those situations.
When does the funding come in for each student like that?
So 10-1 and 2-1, so if you enrolled with me on October 1st, and it's verified enrollment, should they take place around 15th of October, right? It's about the date that they enroll in this, and then you see students are actually you receive full MFP funding for that. Take into account again in February 1st, and you get half the amount for any additional students who would be enrolled on that at that time. If you remove students, you only half the amount. It's for them, 10.2 left in the year.
So they pull fund back out of that.
They smooth it out, they pay them the 25th every month, so like July, we got it, July 25th, we got it, and then paying in August 25th. So they do it every month, but they start off with their estimated, and they prior, and then they'll true it up or get it corrected with the 10-1 count, and then further what they'll the same on 2-1.
Yeah.
And so they won't actually put that in their estimate money, but they'll just try and smooth it out of what they're giving you each month around.
Gotcha.
Unless they make a mistake, so it's not possible. Or they make a mistake, they collect June 15th. And they will take.
Yeah.
So that's why we were very careful, and I've learned a lot that MFP funding here, and we looked and we come up with our own state formula, and come up with what we believe we should need, and there's variations of that. We have a lot of sector period to get the fund that you should get the student because it's also differentiated. Each parish has a certain amount of dollars that they generate, and then state funding that goes with those dollars, but then each student has a weighted indicator. We have an IUP, exceed one of their outline, state MFP, right now, advantage, all the things that go on those students. So an average student might be, when a student doesn't have an IEP, might be like $10,000 student with an IEP is closer to $12,000.
So those funds we receive show up on your as base funding.
There are general funds based on the and then any other funds will be the type of grant, like the all that funding, which I'm sure you all here. Taking that one.
State and local was the localized grants that they have outside of the base funding. The other income, for example, in spring, go out yet, that's employee retention credit, we got that last year, so that got put there, donations. We really don't get any service revenue, so that one. I was gonna say that, but, if Lafayette gets worse, unfortunately, extra money got from the URC added to the fund balance. We'll look at it.
And then if it's fun, we don't necessarily.
Try to get something on.
Like, it's a lot.
We definitely get.
Cool.
Don't have any other questions.
I did want to mention just on this, on the supplementals, I did have this prior year actual, like I said, we only have one snapshot, so I'm just going to give you also a look at. So I did have this prior year actual, showed that in the campuses. Just kind of like where we ended last year versus the budget versus what we
Yeah, we expect to bring to the fall the meeting, budget adjustment for everyone. Sometimes we made and we don't do that at all. We know that people need to, because we're going to be updating the bank, these things, based on those numbers. We also know kind of in the catch-22 situation, right, as an alternative schools, we tend not to get students until the end of September, beginning of October. No, not students to leave until that time. So we want to be able to serve all the students we have the capacity to serve. A lot of times, the student, the last week, and get 15 to 25 students enrolled over their last two orientation. Obviously, significant increase in enrollment. Andrew has been continually interviewing and meeting with individuals so that we are able to place fully down every campus as quickly as possible should we be involved in application in that way. Missing out on an applicant or missing out on our kids and grant that. Strange time to be a customer where you need to be. I'm going to go very honest with the teams this year. Anything else? Would you like to adjourn?
Yeah, we can adjourn.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for coming, and you are welcome to take any review should you be interested. Right?
Shooting.
Yeah, no, I was right. I saw the site. I think I'm in the right spot. Yeah, spot.
We definitely need to come by for a visit, and we'll go over this at the meeting, but I'll make sure that you think November, Thursday, for, November 20th, the Thursday before Thanksgiving. This campus will have their Thanksgiving lunch. It's fun, it's food is delicious, and then the 21st, that Friday, Lafayette, the 24th, Saturday, 25th, West Bank, but, you know, technically,
More time.
By the time we all get to Thanksgiving, none of us want Thanksgiving. You can't be happy. Because we get yes, and you can do the festivity.
Hey, yep, shit.
You're gonna be the one taking it.
Be loud and slow.
No questions. You're right. You said that before.
I. And then black out. And then there's more. Those were. Second. Yeah.
I was thinking before the meeting start, on behalf of our treasurer, he has, people have to leave us prior to the beginning of the meeting, so we would like to try, as possible, to go through all the big items. So that we can get back. Or we can try to finish the whole meeting early.
We got a good press. Do
Huh? We just need to
I
change.
will go there and then I share.
No, thank you.
Anyone like their pro? Is it all in favor of anyone that Philip, would you like a copy? You can play along. Perfect. I feel like it's not on paper, Kelly, if it's a progression plan, 22 pages. But there's really only one or two things.
Did you email it?
Yeah, I emailed.
Oh.
Oh, 2 days. It's like all shades over.
Where?
Starting out with, public advices, we would just, a month ago, I got the change, so, Jerry, here, yeah. That's it.
Here.
Here,
Here.
and we have our first item, the approval of the government from tree. And have those back there, give my attention to you. Well,
Second.
okay, Nathan's motion first, that being second. Any comment? All in favor? Opposed? Next agenda item.
First.
All right, let's do the consideration of signatures for the year. We need to change the commission for our committee on positions.
It's a resolution, if anybody would like to make that motion.
I'll move. I'll move to accept this resolution. Grant the resolution.
Make the resolution.
Vote to make the resolution. Granting signature, the correct signature, authority, support.
I'll second your motion.
Any comment? All in favor? Opposed? Right, that is, yes, it is, I know. We have the consideration for our 2025.
So I'm going to, all of the people progression plans reflect the same information. They are campus specific based off of the charter as required by law. The only changes that are reflected in the people progression plan are those that are highlighted in yellow. Section 8, which is forced choice. This is a change within the form, not within our policy, but it is noted to make all of our change is required by the education. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them or explain them to you, but this is not something that we are creating as a policy, it's simply a policy of the Department of Education. Any questions on forced choice?
We will take a motion to.
Oh, no. We have one. As you all know, this is a new scholarship program with the Department of Education. Again, this is not your policy, this is the policy of the state. It is simply in addition to all progression plans across the state. I just wanted to recognize that it's here, and we're going to ask questions about Navigator and the ESA opportunities. I'm happy to direct you to someone at the Department of Education who can give you the full explanation. I'm not necessarily fully educated on everything that applies, as we are already in school choices. Really much more school districts. And then the change in your policy, which is due to some changes with the state that I will read as follows. For regular education students, the following process must be followed by a student parent or faculty staff requesting a change of student grade placement. A request for a change in grade level placement may be requested in writing to the CAO within the first 30 days of enrollment. This request must include the requested grade level and the rationale for the request.
So, sorry, like freshman to sophomore, kind of thing.
right, the parent came in and said, my child is placed in this grade, I would like them to have a change. And, you know, those students, when they come to us, they perform, we are changing their grade level placement. Those schools go by how many credits have you earned, we go by how many credits you have remaining. Because a lot of times there were students who have 18 credits and they still need 18 to graduate, which means honestly, which is not 18 credits.
Activity is just in place, everything rationale.
Right. It could be any rationale, but student, the parent, the teacher, right? Whether it's best for the student, socially, the their reason. That's a good question. That's correct. It's just that this is how they must go about, and they have to do the 30 days. Just what you see in the, okay, got it. Those are all of the changes that are in the rational plan. And I would ask that you all please vote on these items one at a time. So that there is documentation for each charter.
Overall for changes.
Like we just vote on the approval of the 2025-26 people progression plan as presented for WNA.
Yeah.
Yes, no, not for change, just
Sorry.
but they're the same, they are the same fee for every school. Just different. Move to what the changes.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Nick. Just being great. No, you're good.
All in favor? Down.
Aye.
To the next motion.
Motion to approve the PPP as presented.
My second. I'll second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye, Andrew. All right, and then, our last motion.
Derek.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Leslie. Any quick comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Got it. Okay, all right, next one.
That is like code or they be in there. We do, okay, yeah. You're two members, you're two. For Jefferson parents, so like technically we need to make it W1A, but the school, the district is W1A. Campus is W1A. I do full site. That's the reason why I'm going to be used as the whole thing. It's their district.
Well, we are open.
It is part of the trend.
Thank you, sorry.
Our next. Second.
Okay, so this, I will happy to review with you all, and kind of explain what's happening here. So when you look at the guidance from the Department of Education, the legislature created, certificated and non-certificated opportunity. And if this does not mean, do you have differentiated or certificated? This does not mean whether or not you have teaching certificate, it means whether or not you are in a classification that would require certification. If you worked in a district that requires certification, charter schools or by law not required certification. So it doesn't necessarily mean certified teacher, it just means position that requires certification. Okay. So these have been done by the legislature in the last 2 years. Instead of funding pay raises and NFP, the legislature has approved funding outside of the NFP, $2,000 for certificated positions, $1,000 support staff, and it's based, the money is based off of the 10-1 count from prior year employee. So obviously we added a whole new school, which means that we would have more staff than we normally would based on last year's amount. They will not give you additional funds based on your new amount. So any additional funds will have to come, right? So all of this next information explaining certificated staff and support staff and the function codes and object codes that it supports comes directly from the Department of Education. And I'd be happy to explain any of that information to you if you have specific questions along those lines. And basically, in the budget, we state things by object code, we break it down from 200, so on and so forth. The function code tells you what the person does. So for instance, a teacher is always going to be a 112, but you could be an alternative school teacher at a 1480, you could be a special education teacher at a 1210, right? So it just tells you kind of what do you do and what department do you do, right? So Lafayette needed $2,242. The campus-based employee costs, as far as the allocation is concerned, that is $587.25, and then the other costs would be right. And then EDR .3, which the allocation this year was $68,255. Campus-based cost is $65,559. CMO employee cost would be $26,96. And then JCFA, the West Bank, received an allocation of $58,077.7 cents. The employee campus-based cost is $1,000, and the CMO cost is $702. Any remaining funds, right? So you can see that there will be remaining funds. West Bank in particular, any remaining funds will be used at the lab. So this is based on the timeline staff now from last year. Yes. So then, okay, so the allocation is what it was last year, and then underneath is like what you're website this year, so then the differential. No, so the allocation is this year's allocation. Okay. So but underneath it says the campus employee cost, so collective. So it's like 8,000, 6,000, 14,000, and 4,000. Correct.
You have us employees.
Yes, we are employees, we have. Right, so then the leftover money would go to just whatever is left in the Department of Education. Okay, okay. Now, okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's based on the 10-1, but now it's less employees. Correct. So it is the same thing like for W1A, they have more employees this year. They're not getting more money. Right. Which is why the CMO is allocated to all campuses, and as you all know, we're utilizing the CMO, the full allocations to cover the CMO portion of the stipend and charging them to the campuses in a way that it makes sense. Got it. Okay. To be able to utilize them. Okay. Okay.
Motion.
I'll second. I'll second it.
Second, Amina, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we have our differentiation.
Yeah, so this was a more, thought provoking. So, differentiated compensation, again, utilized by the legislature last year, again, this year, total $17.5 million across the state. They looked at total teacher and only 112, so only the teachers, only actual classroom teachers generated the funds, and only actual classroom teachers and received the funds. So each 112 at your school generated $290.07. You can use those funds to try to support, recruit, and retain teachers, but they have to meet one of these criteria. We have to say which criteria we're using to allocate funds, right? The stipend for teachers in critical shortage areas as determined by the Board of Education, which that is very specifically math, science, sped, high school, right? Stipends for highly effective teachers, which would be those who are receiving part of their evaluations. Stipends for teachers working in high need schools defined as those with an economically disadvantaged rate of 85% higher. Or stipends for teachers in leadership positions. That's the only way we would think teacher qualified. So Lafayette received an allocation of $870 in salaries and matching for retirement expenditures for a total of $1,053. Last, in 23 and 24 and 24-25, we had a remainder of 1712.62 from that allocation for a total availability of 2765.62. We're not recommending allocating these funds at the time, and we're charging the board for support recommendation depending on whether they're no. Right. We may need those funds to recruit. Right. That's for sure. And we want to be able to have. No. We could use them as necessary. Okay. JCFA, which also includes veterans, which received 4160 for salary, again, based on the number of teachers you had last year. And a matching 872 for retirement for a total of 1532. We have no prior year allocation remaining. We recommend that we use them in two different ways. Our $2,500 stipend for one ESL teacher, two math teachers, and two science teachers based on economically disadvantaged rate. And this would also include your 401k investment, should they choose to make that. And then to provide the teacher leadership position, 2750 stipend for teacher leader, teacher liaison, which is a stipend that we provide to teacher liaisons in the past, and it can be covered by this. And then it will require an additional 6775 Joseph funds to cover the stipend. And so these are stipends that prior to differentiated funding, we actually need to these positions, we just announce how these funds cover those. And as you can imagine, EL teachers, math teachers, science teachers are not easy. So we need to have a little extra something to try. Right, and then for JCFA, which is allocation, it's 34.52 salaries, matching 723 retirement, total of 35.4. There was a remaining allocation of 2661.82 available, so that leaves 6836.66 available. So we'd like to provide this in two different ways. One would be for an ESL, who's also math and for science. And we would use the critical shortage area for science and 85% economic disadvantage in the ESL math. And the stipend would be in two payments, probably one matching should they participate in it. and then also provide a stipend for the teacher. We would need an additional $2,600 from general fund.
So that's like roughly overestimated.
$9,000 from general fund. The easy way to think about it is, instead of having to spend the total amount, we're now having to spend all of this money. Yeah.
Any comments in discussion?
Matt is a,
Oh, okay.
she's a 5 technical.
It's not a question. Plus. Yes, so thank you. You're correct, Madeline. Thank you for catching that.
So instead of 67,
You know what, I updated it. I think I did it to. Different than 10.
good catch. Sure, this position that we're gonna fill.
These are positions that we already have filled that we use the hiring stipend to fill those positions that these individuals were hired. These are not new teachers, these are teachers who've been receiving stipend for a number of years.
Questions?
So we don't want anyone, so those are positions that are already filled, those would be ones that we would be using to attract graduates.
They were used to attract.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Correct, the book, exactly. They were used to attract. To utilize some differentiated funding to offset the cost of that segment. We started doing stipend back when we had ESSER, right? Okay.
Other questions?
Is that the only one that you saw?
I didn't check it.
This is what's clear.
It's math. Well, I was gonna say, we might get, because we don't know what the 401k, does that make sense? Yeah. So it's, a total allocation of 68.
Okay.
Okay. We won't go to it.
Hey, hey. Who the next? Yeah, sure. Other questions, comments, discussions here? Motion for the 5, 6, differentiated type. As amended.
As amended. So moved.
Thank you, Leslie.
Second.
Thank you, Nick. All, public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's see.
Like you say.
Ayes have it. Listen. I'm listening to it. Great, that's all I want to right next, update. Treasurer. Over.
You can answer.
You take it.
Looking at, the dashboard here, we got July snapshot. Currently sitting at $377,000 revenue. majority of that, not all of it, is inequity-based funding. Total expenses were currently sitting at $467,000. While the front-loaded costs will start the year, just insurance and getting supplies that start the year off. So we're currently looking at a $89,000 deficit, which we expect to come out over the next several months. Just because those front-loaded costs will only spent up front will continue to get MFP money and grant money to keep that out. Looking at the campuses, currently sitting at a $35,000 surplus on the West Bank. Currently a $7,700 deficit on Lafayette. East Bank, we're sitting at an $8,000 surplus. And Baton Rouge, we're currently at a $125,000 deficit, majority of which is due to CFP funds that can file will starting beginning of the year costs. So a lot there because so on the budgeted amount, we all moved off on a $75,000 deficit, which majority of that is represented by Lafayette. All of them. Looking to the balance sheet, currently sitting at $1.8 million in the bank account. That's 102 days of cash. Currently, equity is $1.9 million, which includes the $89,000 deficit plus the prior year rollover of the $1.2 million in retained fund balance plus the $700,000 surplus that we recognized for last year. You want to go to the next page. For the breakdown of the budget versus actual, so first column you see the budget development on $6.3 million of projected revenue. Currently, on recognized about 6% of that, $377,000. Salaries and benefits, $4.5 million. Spent 4% of that, $180,000. Going into the other personnel, projected $1.9 million. We spent about 50% of that at $287,000. Moving on to the next page, we have the actual for July by campus. So this is just more detailed than what you saw on the dashboard. So the bottom is the same, but also had on sheet dashboard page. When we go to the balance sheet on the next page, for the breakdown showing that we have $1.8 million of cash in the bank account in July. We have about $77,000 of grant receivables received to roll over from last year. And $1.9 million in equity collection fund balance. We want to do the next page. This is how we ended last year, working out on campus. We ended last year with $621,000 of the state format of a surplus. Regular accounting standard, it's only $700,000 due to the purchase of vans last year for the admin. On that, supplemental reports, going through the leader. On the supplemental reports, I've also provided the prior year actual compares to the budget for this year and
So the only thing I would say is that I want all of us to be prepared that that W1 is going to be over budget in relation to cash received probably until March. And the reason being is that we hired all of this new team. We are expecting to meet new students, which is equal to 50% of the student count last year, actually 56%, right? So if we, let's say we get to 140 on the campus and we get 220, which will be a 50%, 56% increase. we're not going to see MFP get adjusted most likely until the spring. So we will be carrying the weight of those students without receiving funding for those students until potentially the spring. We will ask to receive funding in October based off the student count. We should, considering it would be a significant, even if the East Bay campus only gets 130 students, it'll still be a significant increase over what the 2-1 number was. But it doesn't always happen that the Department of Education writes the shift in the role. So we may see a significant decrease, we may be in the negative until they write the shift. So just know that all of the supply, most of the services for that campus, they're codes of like 300, 500, 600 are all grant eligible. So most of those things we will be getting reimbursement for. The only thing that CSB doesn't cover during the implementation phases is personnel salary. So we'll be doing reimbursement very regularly to access those funds. We just won't be getting enough either that recognizes the total student count. I want you all to know that that's coming. Don't be afraid of that. We're going to do everything we can to advocate for them to send us the money that they owe us based on the count, but it doesn't always happen. They don't always fix it. So it's very possible that we won't see the correct amount.
AFR update, following the agenda, submitted Jefferson Parish, Monday. So, the 0 to 6 West Bank campus is now in their hands. I have the other as well as, some of the things I needed to get to the auditors. So we are on track to have everything filed on time and to get that excellent rating for all the basically there. On the audit, I turned over, or I just received the last samples. I'm about to receive the last samples from the auditors that they're going to test for us, but that's progressing along. Soon, or at least, or what we have to work on, they'll, preparing their final reports and closure statements and all the fun stuff they have to do after they get everything.
But we're into that stuff, report, so yeah.
Okay. So, have we made our shift? Board officers are going to also make some shift again. Right now. So, right now, currently on the academic committee, we have Derek, and Kelly. Kelly will be the chair of that committee, Derek, so we'll get back to two members. For HR policy, Tara will to chair that along with Andrew and Nichols. And then for finance and oversight, we are going to those committees. That will consist of myself and Leslie. Yes, all of them. With Indiana, so we have chairs.
So in our transition from being started here to Jeremy, I was helping him as board secretary with committee assignments. And we didn't want to change a whole lot because there was no need to. And the current numbers of our board are such that it's hard to shuffle around and keep everyone just on one committee. So that was my suggestion, was to combine finance and oversight into the officers. And in the meetings, obviously, like, the way I was envisioning it, and pitched it to Jeremy, was like, Nick will continue to lead on the finance side, Vito will continue to lead on the oversight side. hopefully we'll make scheduling meetings a lot easier for officers to let us know.
I'm gonna make the files. I know it's specified that we have those things. I don't know. The only two that are required by finance, like the other ones are activities, which would be, I'm just here to need this.
It is the same as,
Yeah. So committees, the Board of Governors may create and organize themselves into various other committees in order to better fulfill its responsibilities, including committees to address items such as finance personnel, the members of the JCFA staff, including without limitation, the executive director, any assistant directors, and they also serve on the board. Such committee shall not be authorized to act. Shall serve in the advisory capacity. Oversight, the board shall have the same committee oversight consisting of no less than 3 board members, not board members may serve, and then finance, again, no less than 3, and then that's all. It's all committees fund for 5 months, less than 2 years. So figures like finance have to be consistently, any of the other ones. But they're not.
Can you explain this? We're fine. All right, and.
We'll start with the.
I'm good.
Okay. So I'm going to go forward. So I don't have credit information for you all right now. Not that our students are credit, they are, but it is needed for you. So I'm going to let them do their thing and into school enough time so we can all back into the program. They're all doing great. See the visual representation here on the campus of sunshine for all of students thus far this year. On Noel's campus, students using really cute little hot air balloons, like sunshine. PBR is doing cars. What good campus. So Lafayette, the goal for 10-1 is 54 on 7-15, it was they were at 25, we're at 32 today. Last year, 110-1 correct. Their attendance rate is very low this year at 49%. It is something that we are starting with. We did move to, a single scheduled day that we were worried about how that impacts students. And we're definitely seeing some impact. W1A for East and West Wing. Obviously, W1A also has BDR. Goal for W1A is 144. At 7:15, they had 94 on the East Bank, 4 students on the West Bank. And at 7:15, they had 114 enrolled and 6 on the West Bank. On 10-1 last year, they were 148 on the East Bank, plus 4 on the West Bank. They are at 65% attendance, which is above where they finished the year last year. EDR, 80 students is the goal. We had 37 apps. On 7:15, we were not enrolled yet, so we couldn't send students. But as of 15, 62, like I said, we had 16 kids today, so very excited about that. Yeah, they are enrolled and have 60% attendance, which is lower than we would like to see. So we are going to be working with students that are students on plan. Again, that's part of what we want to over enroll. We're not the right fit for students. We want to make this decision. On the West Bank, where do we want to be? As high as we possibly can. We struggled with that for a long time. We were very big on it has to be a certain number. But what we have learned over time is that attendance does not equate to success. We will have a lot of students who come to school and they struggle and they don't earn credits, and then we'll have kids who come to school twice a week, and I don't have them on campus and they earn credit. So we know that the time they're with us, the state that they are, the services they're getting, so we really want them to be. You know, I would love to see it in the 80s, 90s. Realistically, we have to figure out what the sweet spot is for a campus and where their kids are successful and really work to engage students in their public school. So it's a hard question to answer. You know, last year you can see that East Bank had a 58% attendance rate, and they had the largest graduation group that they've ever had. Right? So it doesn't mean they're going to graduate.
But yeah, it doesn't show up, and then there's all the children in the schools, and they're not like, the other kid that can do that and like go through like center for a week. So it's really-
Yeah, it's just the student language. As long as they're engaged and they're earning credits, that's what we need to see. We want them coming to school, and I will say, shout out to the West Bank. The West Bank is going to be the first campus that has in attendance on any given day, which is excellent. The other day they had 80. Thursday to room to get to 100. But they're doing the West Bank doing a very good job of getting the building, despite the challenges that we've had already this year on that campus. To the moment, but as you can see, they're at 73%. They are at 59%. So they're definitely doing a good job there. Their goal is 130. They were at 92 last in July. They're at 117, and at 123 is including the 6 from W1A. You all have how many men? 6, right? So they're at 123, 129. So the idea of them getting to the 140 is, I think, very cool for them. And last year, their goal, their 10-1 number was 124, and then 128 goal is W1A. So we are already have more students enrolled now than we did on 10-1 last year as an organization, which is great. We still have a pretty meaningful yeah, we're very. It has been in Jordan has been every year. We actually have been every year. All over the state, and Lafayette too.
For the media, we have partnership. We have funding our kids there.
So good news. Both JCFA and JCFA leads the JAG programs were recognized as 6 programs. The highest programs are each of the benchmarks and all 6 categories. We're very excited about that. We have great JAG specialists. They really do good things for students. Well, the coach's culture. It's going to be JAG here. It's why it's now JAG here. My chance. Kirsten on the West Bank, who was an English tutor, took over the JAG program and has done a really amazing job. And she's super engaging with the students, strengthening your right. So those programs in the next 12 last year, we expect to be facility. So this was communicated with Leslie when it occurred, but there was a break-in. So as you all know, there are 2 buildings on that property. There's our building and the building next to us. The building next to us has been closed since 2014. And we have requested on the first occasion that they'll not consider demolishing the building. It was heavily damaged in the item and was never repaired after that fact. Some repairs were done on our building over the summer to install a new HV, a new air conditioner. I think it's not even just air, and to repair our roof. And then towards the end of August, someone broke in and stole all of the copper wiring out of the abandoned building. And, you know, it's what ran our air conditioning. So our brand new air conditioner was rendered useless. Yeah. 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 And so, we have been running on a generator for air conditioning purposes. It took a little while to get the process correct. Yeah. She's had a lot to deal with at the beginning of the school year. We did have to cancel school for some days because we had to get a generator in and power it up. No, not the other building. Yeah. So the power of the air conditioner ran to that building. They were connected in that way. And one day Ryan went to that grass and was like, hey, it looks like some of my tools were stolen. Somebody heard it. And then we realized that they stole copper wiring. We didn't realize until we went to school the next day that we took out our air conditioning. Yeah. So Del Gado is doing what they are supposed to do, and they're funding the generator, and they're going to be getting the electrical fixed, and they are considering moving the building. We are begging them to take care of it. It looks like they're by the end of the late for moving it. So
It only costs crazy.
it only costs us and we had 4 days for kids to go to school, so it was super frustrating. And I say that to then put back up to the attendance rate that, despite the fact that they had a rocky start in August, the kids are going to school, which is great, which is what we want to see. So we definitely send lots of love over to our West Bank team. They had an interesting start of the year. And then the East, we realized that at some point in one of the weather events that we had last, kind of obviously not recently because we haven't had good weather, but over the summer, there were some heavy winds that came through. Some lines were damaged that went to external lines were damaged to the fire panel, which would cause a fire panel to have a red tag. And the red tag is then not operating properly. Therefore, we have to do a fire watch every day until that can be repaired. So that means that Mr. Joe or other admins have to walk through the building every 30 minutes, documenting that there is a potential fire. Oh, that's right. Every 30 minutes, what we do. So it is a little cumbersome, but the other option is to well, the fire panel doesn't work, so the alarm may not work. So that's why something to facilities are fun. Okay. Facilities are fun. Awesome. Yeah, so upcoming events, we have a bunch of schedules for Thanksgiving. The dates are there, please come and enjoy. And now we're going to go over, if anybody has any questions about the information I shared with you, it's not over the polls. So, back in January, we presented polls. I asked to do them as a 6-month spend, and you all were set for the academic year, which I'll provide for you to approve and remember our beforehand. Here, obviously, our scoring credit attainment was excellent. We're very happy with what the campuses were able to do in the spring. We're well above where we wanted to be for our spring credit goals. For our week goals, we didn't reach those goals. So we know that we have some work to do. We went over these during the retreat that I have with you all to look at. We saw some improvement in some places. Obviously we went up in biology and what we were able to do over the fall, so we were happy about that. So I haven't broken down the top group is all scores, the bottom just initials, initials of what we are exploring on from the state level. But we definitely have some room for growth. And those are the things that we're working on this year, is to try to ensure that all students, not just our attrition students, are achieving what those goals. And then at the bottom, there were some retention and hiring goals for EPR. The only position that we are still hiring for is special education in Baton Rouge. Right now, we have BMO team members who are supporting in that regard. We do have someone who's going to begin services on a contract basis. They will become employed in the spring, but they can only be contracted. So they'll be doing those contract services. Our enrollment goal was 62 for 9-1. We didn't make it for 9-1, but we did make it for 9-11. We'll write a lot to about that. The enrollment information at the bottom, West Bank, again, is a little shy of 9-1, we're at 110 versus 112, but then they were at 117. W1D, we're significantly down. And the East Bank, they were a little shy. Anybody have any questions?
So we,
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
first, do we just worry about the passing scores or is it?
So it doesn't actually, yes, with values growth of mastery, and anybody, a student with an unsigned are growth scores.
Okay.
So it's just contingent upon each individual student and their growth goal.
But they're only looking at still one from each.
They're only,
Chunks.
no, they're only looking at initial student in English 1, English 2, algebra, and geometry.
Oh. This is
It's, for our training schools, it's just growth in English and math.
And do they only look at like either 1 or 2 or algebra or geo still, or are they looking at all 4?
So it depends on you as a student. So if you took English 1 last year, and they're looking for you to make growth to English 2, right? So it could be that they're looking for English 1 or English 2 or algebra or geometry. And, it would depend on you as an individual student, where you are, what test you took last year. And if you're not taking classes in their time, you don't know. So if we took English 1 in the summer and English 2 in December, they don't count that English 2 because you're taking it all time. Yeah, it makes it very hard for us to test it in a way that's for the student and also makes the growth for us. So we kind of throw caution with that because they're ultimately you don't get your list of students who are on the group until like December. They are the testing. And then if they don't update that list, with all the students. So when we get our group back, it's surprise to us. So all we can do is focus on students doing the best that they may do on their test. The only thing that they can focus on. And if we get points in the end, great. If the students are making the grade that they need to make the eligible for graduation, and they're doing the best, right? That is the only thing.
People in your evaluation with this
It should.
sure and we'll bring it back.
Yes.
Wow. We get max.
Okay.
We didn't adjourn. Motion.
I'll second.
Nick and Leslie, all in,
Hi.
opposed? The ayes have it. Max. 5.
Great job, you. Tony Perry.
Let's go.